Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Skett, and yes, once again we are late, and that is entirely my fault because I was on a very, very bad delay with the system we use. But we're here now, and I'm joined by James Kearney. How's it going, James?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, the sun's shining here in Glasgow, and looking forward to a big weekend.
Yes, it was. I'm playing golf this afternoon and woke up this morning and it was absolutely bucking it down in Edinburgh. It got really nice and now it is windy again. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what North Berwick can deliver this afternoon.
At least you can get your excuses in early, you know.
Oh yeah, I've not played in a couple of months, so yeah, I've got plenty of excuses. Don't you worry. Before we get into talking about the semi-final this weekend, of course, Heart of Midlothian play Rangers on Sunday at Hampden Park, 3 p.m. kickoff for a place in the Scottish Cup final. But of course, before we do, there will be a message from our sponsors. And of course, that's Viessmann, renowned for their exceptional German engineering as a leader in the boiler industry worldwide. They've now partnered with Scotland's own award-winning installation team, MPH Boilers, for a collaboration that's, you say the line, a match made in Scotland. When it comes to heating, Viessmann boilers stand out with efficiency and reliability, thanks to their advanced technology. And with the local expertise of MPH Boilers, you're guaranteed top-tier installation and service. Together, they're offering an unbeatable deal, a free internet controller with every Viessmann boiler, making it effortless to control your heating. Plus, they're throwing in the first year's service for free, ensuring your peace of mind. If you've been thinking about upgrading your boiler, there's never been a better opportunity. With Viessmann's world-class engineering and MPH Boilers' award-winning service, your home heating is in the best hand. Viessmann and MPH Boilers, it's a match made in Scotland. Don't wait until it's too cold. Check them out today and step into a warmer, more efficient home. Now, there's a podcast I listen to. So they have a sponsor's message from, so it's an American one, and they have a sponsor's message from basically bookmakers. And then they have to read out the word like gamble responsibly, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But they do it, and they just for that wee bit they just speed up to like ×3, so it just zips through it. Maybe people can do that with when I'm reading that. But we will move on to the semi-final clash on Sunday. But I think before we do, I think it's important to have a word about Big Hearts and the response from Hearts fans in general to the Big Hearts fundraiser to send people to who might not have the opportunity normally to attend a Scottish Cup semi-final, because you remember tickets are £30 to £40 for adults, £15 to £20 for under 16. So if you're 17, you're having to pay the full whack. Yeah, I've had many issues about the pricing of these games, but Big Hearts spoke to Craig Wilson, the chief exec, yesterday afternoon, and he said it was kind of just decided over the weekend that they would do it. There's been running a skeleton staff, so they kind of just managed to log back into the system they use for donations, and they've just been inundated, and you see the response. I don't know, the last time I looked, it was so 26,000. I think they've raised between 27,000 28,000 for raised 27,000 to send. It could be up to 600 fans to the game on Sunday. They've organised travel, buses, ScotRail tickets to go on the train, and food vouchers as well. I think there's at least 500 food vouchers at Hampden. So it's just an incredible effort. And again, we're speaking to Craig. He's kind of said that he shouldn't be surprised just because of Hearts fans. You look at the foundation of Hearts. I go back to Save Our Hearts in the early 2000s when moving away from Tynecastle and before Romanoff came in. So there's always been that kind of side of it, but the reaction has just been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the fact that there's been some sort of fundraising effort isn't surprising when you look at the sort of stuff that Hearts fans have done in the past and the sort of stuff that Big Hearts have done and continue to do. But like you say, it's the scale of it, isn't it? I mean, what is it? So it was 26 grand in 2 days? What was it?
So it was, I think it went live on Monday night. So it was, because it was sat at, it was just under 5,000 on Tuesday morning around 10 a.m. So between that and last night. So yeah, essentially 2 days.
It's a hell of a lot of money, and like you say, it's given these people an opportunity to go to a game that they might not be able to go to otherwise. So, like you say, there's the cost of the tickets, but there's the other side of it as well, which is the travel. Like we're talking about food, maybe going for a pint beforehand and all this kind of stuff. Where it's like, it becomes quite an expensive day out, especially if you then start taking kids along as well.
Yeah.
You're going to be hitting triple digits in no time. So yeah, the fact that you're getting these, these people are getting to go to the game, they're getting their food, they're getting a scarf as well. I think everyone's getting a scarf, right? I saw some nice pictures of that.
Scarf's getting prepared, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just really nice. It's a brilliant story. I think it's something that everyone should feel really proud of, and it's one of these things that just makes sense, and it's just really lovely to see. It's just the nice side of football, the heartwarming side of football that doesn't always get highlighted about or spoken about, but it deserves to, because this is what football clubs are. They are a big, huge sense of community where people come together, where people who are more fortunate to help people who are less fortunate, and yeah, it's touching. It's really nice.
Yeah, and before we move on, I think the numbers are incredible in terms of what's been raised or what's getting done. The number of people involved, there's over 1,100 people that have made donations. Is the fact that for 500-600 people, they're going to have hopefully a good memory, but memories of going to Hampden that they wouldn't have maybe got if it wasn't for this. That it's going to be people that have never gone to a game before. It's going to be people who have never gone to a game away from Tynecastle. Maybe someone who's never gone to a kind of semi-final before, or a dad or mum who's able to take their kid to a semi-final, to Hampden, to experience the National Stadium. So yeah, there's that as well. It's just a really, really, like, no matter what happens on Sunday, just it's a really, really positive story in a week where there's been a lot said about, or the last couple of weeks, about tickets and the split. But the fact that Hearts will be taking over 19,000 to Hampden, as Naismith said yesterday, if Hearts hadn't fought for that split, then they wouldn't have been able to take as many as that. I think it would probably have been under 18,000. So it's even though Hearts might have to pay back for some tickets, it's been definitely worthwhile in the long run.
No, absolutely. And like you say as well, the people are getting to go, like you say, this could be the first time they've been to Hampden to see a semi-final. And speaking as someone, for instance, who has not seen their club play at Hampden in a semi-final, I could tell you, yeah, that would live long in the memory for me. That would be a huge day out.
Yeah,
something I'm absolutely craving. So yeah, I get it for the people involved. It's going to be a really big deal. So yeah, just nothing but respect and admiration for everyone that's donated, and for Big Hearts as well for pulling it all together and organising all. It's just to do so much in such a short space of time for so many people. It's just really, really heartwarming stuff.
Right then, Rangers, 2 wins in their last 8, both against Hibs. This should be a walk in the park, right?
Oh, I know. Like, it's been a funny couple of weeks, hasn't it? In the build up to this, it's been very strange, because it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the fact that Hearts needed to pick up some momentum going into this game, because they were beating off County, and then there was the drew the following game as well. So there was some stuttering going on. Now you look at it, and it's Rangers who are very much wobbling. Obviously, they drew with Dundee midweek. I'll be honest, I've not watched all of that game. I've just seen like little bits and bobs of it. From what I gather, they just they ran out of attacking options quite quickly. I mean, I have ever seen to John Sterling's post-match interview, which was remarkable, I thought.
Yes.
But for a team, for a player in a team, a player who's probably been one of the few bright sparks, actually, a player who's actually pulling his weight, and nobody's really has to have much of an issue with him. To come out after the game when you're 3 points behind in the league in the title race with 5 games to go, you've got a semi-final coming up in a few days' time, and basically saying that you don't believe you can win, and that these games are dead rubber, they feel like dead rubbers, like remarkable. Like, it's really honest of him, which is great. But it's like
when was that? Because when was that? When was that the Oriole yesterday for Naismith and Shankland's pre-match press conference ahead of the game on Sunday? Speaking to a couple of other guys who were there, they were kind of have you seen? They'd obviously seen Sterling's comments or heard about it, or one guy was actually at the Dundee game, and I was kind of like, wow, did he really said that? And then you see them coming out and like, not many players go into, because I think not many players like swear in a in a post and when speaking to the press after the game or before the game, it's very rare they do that. They might do it kind of off the record or just when you're chatting to them, but certainly not when
there's cameras on them, they're getting filmed anyway.
Yeah. And you can see when he was speaking about it, it was like he almost took a beat. It's like, do I say this? Do I say this? They're like, stuff it. I'll say it. We've been shit. So yeah, it was a really interesting take and really interesting from their kind of mindset, because we've seen over the last two games, watched both the Dundee game and the Ross County game. As soon as the game's finished, the cameras pan to the away fans, and the Rangers fans are very, very angry. And I think there's that opportunity there for Hearts to kind of start really well, to get the Rangers support turning on them, because it's fine for if they've got a few thousand at an away game, but if they've got 20,000 at Hampden beginning to turn on their own team, that's massive. That is absolutely massive. And
and the thing is, I think just now as well, that I've got a few pals who are really big Rangers fans, and I've speaking to them a lot in the build up to this game. And it's not that it's obviously they're disappointed the way things are going at the moment. They're angry, they're not happy about it, but it's more just kind of like, it's kind of like what Sterling's attitude is, isn't it? And that they're writing off the season. They're going that the season is finished. It's done. Like, we'll maybe get a cup. Maybe do something in the cup, but they just don't trust the team whatsoever, and it's just going to go, oh, here we go again, same old story. And I just think that that attitude from hear that attitude coming from Rangers fans who I know and I think know what they're talking about, going into a cup semi-final is just remarkable. Because it's a kind of not quite defeatism, but not far off it. And obviously for a team that a club that kind of prides itself on it wins and that's its thing, that's quite remarkable, I think. So I thought that was interesting. The other things I thought was really interesting as well, to be honest, was Stephen Naismith's comments as well in the preview presser, when he was essentially saying that he said that Rangers have been lucky at times during this run, and that basically Tav and Goldson are like serial losers. That was basically what he was saying, wasn't it? Like reading between the lines.
Yeah. It was very interesting. I was speaking to pals today, and in our WhatsApp chat, and a few of them were like, it was like, wow, what's kind of the thinking behind it? And it was interesting. It's kind of just the mindset of hearing it from a pal's side. A few of them are like, that's just going to have like Clement's just going to. That's this team talk done.
Yeah.
And one of the mates he was of the view that he was kind of glad that Naismith did it, because it's like when managers come in the past and topped up opposition Old Firm teams, it's not like it's done Hearts any favours. So why not?
It's just unusual though, isn't it? Because obviously we've been to a lot of Naismith press conferences. He's not very provocative.
No,
it doesn't really say things that are especially that are going to wind people up or especially controversial. I think he's quite measured.
He's very measured.
So again, it's just that was interesting to us, because it's just different to the way he usually acts. A couple of interesting interviews in the build up to this one that hint, I think, at the two teams' mentalities going into it.
And the thing I would say about Naismith is he's been in that position at Rangers, so he knows what those players are going through. So he's saying that from a power of from a position of experience and knowledge, and it's something that something I was talking one of my mates was saying is like, we obviously see it and speak to Naismith regularly before and after games, but it's interesting from the outside that they see Naismith trying to instill a different mentality in this Hearts team, which is massive, and I think his comments feed into that. Moving on to the game itself, you are working on a piece that will go out tomorrow, looking at where Hearts have kind of gone wrong in the past and where they could get some joy on Sunday. I think the big question is, because I was off one view and I've written up my predicted lineups and I've changed, is what do you think the setup will be? Do you think you'll go with a back four, or do you think you'll go with a back three?
So, like you say, I've been thinking about this a lot this week. I've been watching back the games and looking back over my notes from previous games and speaking to various people, and I reckon 3-5-2 is what I've set up on. I think the back three is what's needed. With Beningame at the 6, most likely Devlin as an 8, Grant as the 10. I would like to see probably Vargas and Shankland up front. And to be honest, the biggest call I've got would be that I want to see Alan Forrest at right wing back.
Okay.
Yeah, which again, I accept that's a gamble. I accept that, absolutely. But I think as well, right now, if you're ever going to gamble against Rangers and kind of go sacrifice a defensive player for an attacking player and kind of push the envelope, see what happens, is there any better time to do it than now? At a time when, by their own admission, by the players' own admission, they don't like it when teams do that, and they don't like it, and there's obviously, again, we're going to talk about this in a wee bit, but they're very vulnerable on the counter attack as well. So having that pace, I think, is really important. Where I think if you put Atkinson in or even Limbakisa, I don't think they've got quite that kind of ability to just drive to the ball, get down the line, and really stretch the game. And I think that's going to be really important. So yeah, I think that's my reasoning. I think I accept that it's a gamble. I accept that it's different, and it could blow up. It could absolutely, but I think this is a game where Hearts go into it in a good position, Rangers go into it, very much wobbly. I think that you want to try and be assertive and be proactive in the game. And that does mean gambling a bit and taking some risks, because there's no better time to take them, in my view.
Yeah. So it's one, like, you've obviously been thinking about it a lot this week, just with what you've been writing. That the last couple of weeks I've been thinking about it and just chatting kind of off and on with different folk about what I do against Rangers, and I was certainly leaning towards the back 4, just because the back, if you look at the back 3, at times it's been a back 5 against Rangers, where we look at the 5-0 defeat or the defeat in the League Cup semi-final back in November. I just thought, with the vulnerability that Rangers had, quite like to go for back 4, solid back 4, with the balanced 3-man midfield. I think Devlin, Grant and Benny does have a nice balance to it. We've seen Devlin not play against Rangers a couple of times, and do think these are the games where you certainly out possession, you'd really want him, and I think he'd thrive. And then a front 3 of Shankland, Oda and Vargas, just because I think, with, as you talked about, the pace, the threat that pace poses Rangers, and you've got Vargas and Oda who can shift, they can run in behind. We talked about it on Monday, how good Oda was and how direct he was, the way he was reading the game. My mind changed yesterday when I was at the press conference, and Naismith, I'll get I forgot his quotes here. Yes, I do. I'm just finding them. Just what he said about Rangers made me think he might go for a back 3. So he said, we've seen the way Rangers play. They're a very direct team. They look to pick up second balls off that direct play or get in behind you. And I think in the last 2 games, Ross County and Dundee have been good at stopping that. Watching the last 2 games, Dundee and Ross County, they've played a back 3, and they've basically flooded the midfield. So that's where I've switched from thinking it'll be, my preference probably be a back 4 with the front 3 I mentioned, but switch to what I think it will be, and I think it'll be that back 3. And I think the team relatively picks itself. In my head, I think Limbakisa, I disagree. I think he can shift with the ball, and I think he can stretch the game, and I think he brings pace to the wide area. I actually think he will play Forrest off of Shankland, so essentially play one up front and then have quite a congested midfield, Forrest dropping off and sitting on John Lundstrom. That's kind of, he's there. He's a player, I don't think he's the greatest playmaker. I think he's got his qualities, but he's not like Callum McGregor at Celtic, where he just dictates. But he's still an important player in that, the base of the Rangers midfield. So that's why I thought Forrest there. And then you'd have basically Devlin, Forrest, Limbakisa, Cochrane licensed when the ball's won for them to shoot forward. And then you've got Grant, who's kind of the link man in it. So that's what I think Naismith might do, but that's from just reading between the lines of his comments.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the back 3, to be honest, when I first started doing this, I thought it would be a back 4, because I was kind of going, well, look, we've played, done the back 3 a few times and it's not really worked, maybe try something different. But to be honest, the more I looked into it, the more I thought about it, the more I thought actually the back 3 does make sense, particularly when you think about the Rangers play at the moment, where they don't really have out and out wingers that are fit and available just now. Like so their attack gets very narrow. Like all the width comes from the fullbacks at the moment. So obviously recently that's been Tavernier and Barisic. I would imagine it's probably going to be Sterling and Barisic, Sterling and Tavernier, on Sunday, because Barisic has been very poor recently, obviously. But that's where the width comes from. So if you've got 3 centre halves, kind of packing that area, making it really tight, make sure there's no places to go, and you've obviously got Biringame sitting in front of them as well. It kind of gives them nowhere to go, and again, it's going to ask a lot of the wing backs, because yes, they're going to have to get back, they're going to have to get forward, and particularly the wide centre midfielders are going to have to get out there and get involved as well. So that's going to be Grant and Devlin. Devlin on the right, you'd imagine that sits him down to the ground. That's exactly his game. Grant's going to have to work hard, but we have seen that before.
Done it Celtic game.
The Parkhead wasn't at that game, but he was absolutely fantastic at it. So I think that's what we're going to have to see. But yeah, it's going to be the wide centre mids and the wing backs are going to have to work their backsides off basically for the full 90 minutes, possibly longer, if this is going to work. So I think that's definitely an issue, an area where Rangers have looked vulnerable, particularly as well with when they are attacking, and you can see that if they've got kind of a lot of men forward and they're moving forward, and essentially you've got one fullback who'll get really far advanced. So say it's Tavernier on one side, and then the other one, say it's Sterling, kind of drops into midfield and forms a 3 with the other 2 centre halves, and it's like at that point, on the other side. Then let me start again. So imagine it's on the say you've got Tavernier sitting, comes into the midfield, and on the other side Sterling pushes all the way up. At that point, generally what happens is Jonathan Strimling moves into the left back position to kind of cover the space in behind there, but it leaves a huge gap in the middle. I think that's what Hibs took advantage of it really well. Dundee took advantage of it well at times, and County really took advantage of it well. So that's the area where you try and really get, I think, where you can initially make that breakthrough. After that, I think that a common theme in these games as well is that Cochrane has often been the free man a lot of time for Hearts when building out in possession. You need to get the ball to him. Absolutely. He gets in lots of space. Most of the best chances and goals that have been scored in these games have come through Cochrane getting the ball and creating getting the balls into the box, creating using space well. Sometimes he gets, sometimes he's been in great positions. He's just not been seeing enough of it. So I think that's really, really important in terms of during those transitions again. So that's where we again get back to the wing backs are going to have to get up and down. They're going to have to work hard, because that's where the spaces can be. Because rather than kind of a direct attacking through the centre, Hearts don't have the pace to do that. There's an argument maybe Vargas can, but essentially, if you get the ball to Cochrane, then you can hopefully, if you attack with enough pace, you can get Vargas and Shankland into a 2v2 situation with Suter and Goldson, and that's where the Rangers have looked really shaky as well. So I would say you probably want, because I think Suter's got a tendency to kind of push out and get drawn towards the ball. So I would put Shankland on Suter, and I would put Vargas on Goldson. Goldson's very slow at turning. It's it's a thing now. If you can get Shankland on the ball and drop him deep, drawing Suter towards him, Vargas maybe running beyond Goldson into that space, all of a sudden you can really start moving that team around and making the most of it. So I think that's the way that counterattacks will kind of go. I think they'll kind of start out right, get shifted out left, then into the strikers, and hopefully at that point there's a running behind. I see that as a promising route to go, just from watching the last few Rangers games that they've been, the kind of chances they've been conceding, and then also just watching back some of the chances that Hearts have created in previous matches this season. So I think that's a pretty solid route to go.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think if you can, exactly like you said, if you can get the 2 centre backs, and if you can. Trying to think of the phrase, if you can get them in 1v1 situations or 2v2 situations, they've looked really shaky, looked really vulnerable. Yeah. Connor Golson has been an excellent Premiership defender for basically ever since he came to Rangers. Been really consistent, barely missed a game. But every time I've watched him, he looks like he is regressing. This season is the season we're like, he looks a bit shaky. John Suter has. And probably won't surprise many Hearts fans. He's when I've watched him, he's been excellent for the vast majority of the game, but then he does something where he costs the team a goal, or he does something or plays a part in a situation where it leads to an opposition goal. So there's vulnerability there, and that's why I wonder if there's been a lot of calls for Liam Balogun to come back into the game, back into the team, and I just wonder if Rangers, and this could come in actually and benefit Hearts. They could just be a wee bit unsure. They might tweak how they play because of the last 2 or 3 games. Then they get into a situation where maybe it's not quite familiar with them, and it takes them a while to get going. That they're just right. This is what we're meant to be doing, and then that's where it comes into. So I'm just laughing at people thinking you're wearing a fez, James, in the comments. And that's where it comes into a fast start. Naismith mentioned it again. He's mentioned it a lot. But if Philip Clement tweaks his Rangers team and they come out at Hampden and they're a bit unsure, they're a bit uncertain, their confidence is knocked, that's the opportunity for Hearts to really spook them, try and get in front, try and get the Rangers crowd on top of them. So there's a real opportunity there, both tactically, as you detailed there, but also just that kind of the mentality side and kind of just your stripped back Scottish football of making it very difficult for the opposition. So there's times where going into a final or semi-final against Celtic, it's been more like Celtic in the last few years, where you're just thinking they've got a really good team and you need kind of a bit of luck, and it's kind of just you're going in with hope, a wee bit of belief rather than expectation. But this semi-final, I really do feel there's logic behind the blind optimism of thinking that Hearts will finally beat Rangers at Hampden Park. So yeah, wouldn't say wouldn't be putting substantial money on Hearts winning, but I'm confident that the team have learned from previous, that they've, as Naismith said yesterday, they've done a lot of work tactically this week, looking ahead to Sunday, and I think this will be another, not a big test, but another kind of another point where Naismith can show his development or progression as a manager, to show that he has learned from the previous games against Rangers. Because even if Hearts were to lose on Sunday, but they were to put in an excellent display, a battling display, and kind of just be unlucky, or if Rangers turned up and it just clicked and they were excellent, they've obviously got a better squad. So you can't really plan for that. But if everything else kind of goes to plan, then I think that's kind of again speaks volumes of the progression from Hearts this season.
No, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, we all remember the League Cup semi-finals. Like, to be fair, I can't see a repeat of that, but you never know, I suppose. I as someone who's not a supporter, who's maybe not as biased, I would argue that this is Hearts' best chance in a while. It's best chance I can think of to beat Rangers at Hampden, because again, we touched on it at the start of the show. Like, it's 2 wins in 8, and they're both against Hibs. Like, that's are you ever going to get to play a Rangers team in that kind of that sort of format in a semi-final again? It's unlikely. Let's be frank. So no, yeah, this is a brilliant time to play Rangers, because like for the reasons we've talked about, in terms of the mentality and tactically, like, they are vulnerable in the moment, and like we've been saying as well, Hearts are actually coming into a good position. Yes, you're absolutely right. Though, for Naismith, this is a big test. It's a big challenge. I meant to look this up. I was going to look into this later, but maybe you'll know though. Am I right in saying, are Rangers the only domestic team that Naismith hasn't beaten?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, it's just that thing where it's like, oh, it must be good to scratch that itch and get that out of the way. Because again, like we've seen, brilliant performances, against like Celtic, there's been real marked improvement there. Okay, the derbies could maybe be a wee bit better, but he's not losing them, so that's good. But yeah, the Rangers is the one thing at the moment where you could look at it and go like, oh, we really do. There needs to be some sort of improvement there, particularly after the game in the most recent game, the 5-0 Ibrox, where it was obviously right now we're talking about how good it's have a good start. If that happens again and Rangers score within the first 2 minutes, it's a long way back from there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very, very, very long way back. And that's why you're just thinking there'll be that view of just come out the traps, but then at the same time, you don't want to just leave yourself too open and get too excited and give up that control and find yourself a goal behind.
But then I do think though that Hearts should be whenever Rangers have goal kicks, and I think Hearts should be pressing high up the park. I think they should basically be going man for man. Again, when you look at the 1-0 defeat at Tynecastle back in December, that game, for large spells of it, actually, Rangers were struggling to get forward and create. And okay, the goal came from Hearts getting their press wrong, and then Rangers go long, they go direct, and it goes in. That was bad, because there's defensive mistakes in there, there's mistakes from the pressing in the front. So there are risks attached, obviously, but I do think that, again, if you're going to win against these kind of games, you need to be brave. You need to be on the front foot and try and play the game your way. And I think that kind of going man for man with Rangers back four when they are building out, I think that can make a really big difference. And maybe forcing them into playing passes that they don't want to play and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, no, I think there's definitely got to be a kind of aggressive approach both with and without the ball, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really excited to watch it for the game on Sunday. And you mentioned it's a very different scenario situation than the previous semi-final against Rangers back in November, where you just got to the ground and there was just kind of just that feeling of border unhappy. There was almost like expectation. Fans were just there kind of waiting, right, let's just get this over and done with. Whereas I think there's definitely going there with there's greater expectation, but greater hope and greater belief as well, and confidence of the team putting in a performance and potentially getting I'll call it a famous result because it's never been done before in the club's history. Before we finish up, James, what's your prediction?
Joe, 2-1 Hearts. 2-1 Hearts. I think this is it. I think history is going to get made.
I agree with you. I think I would. If I was going to go, I'd go 2-1 as well. 2 Hearts, of course.
Yeah, so you heard it here first. Then there you go. And if it doesn't go in, if it doesn't work out that way, then you can blame Joe.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll take. I'm away on holiday next week anyway, so I'm leaving the country. Just James Govan put on YouTube, Tagawa to score the winner on the break. I meant to bring this up because I don't know if anyone's listened to Scarfs Around the Funnel this week. Scott McIntosh, who sometimes joins us on these calls, he put forward his team for the game and included Tagawa and Oda up front with Shankland. And there's a part of me that really wants to see that. But if Tagawa was to come off the bench and be the hero, that would be that would just be incredible. I don't have the words for it.
I can see Scott's thinking in that, you need to, quick throws to put in the break and get in behind, Tagawa's good at that. At the same time, he is a guy who scored 1 goal this season.
Yep.
Against the mighty Partick Thistle. Do you then put him in for the biggest game of the season? Seems a bit much, but yeah, off the bench, games at 1-0, getting a bit stretched, Goldson's getting a bit tired, Balogun's on, he's not the fastest. Tagawa gets on the ball, who knows?
You would have to pull me down for when we're in the press box. So I would 100% try and celebrate that. So do keep that in mind. Right, we will leave it there. Thank you very much, James. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, engaging, subscribing, supporting, reading, etc., etc. I would like to remind you that we have an subscription offer currently running until April 29. So that is, you can get 6 months access for £1 or 12 months if you like us a bit more for £18. That runs until, did I just say April 29th? But you will also be entered into a draw to win one of 2 signed Hearts home kits. So the whole first team squad have signed that. That's both current subscriber. That's for both current subscribers and new subscribers. So if you are already a current subscriber, you'd be entered into the draw. And if you are a current subscriber and you have a friend or family or no Hearts fan who would be interested in signing up, do say to them that we do have an offer on at the moment. And so absolutely plenty of content up on the site as is. We'll have a predicted lineup score out later on, and then James will have deep dive into the game, looking ahead to the game on Sunday. That'll be going out tomorrow as well. Some stuff from Lauren Shankland as well. So keep an eye on that. But until Monday, maybe Sunday, if Hearts win, then we'll probably jump on and do something on Sunday. But if not, then we will be back on Monday to review the game. So hopefully everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.